What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, y'all had a great weekend. So, for today or for this week, going into the 8th to the 12th, ultimately, we're going to start off with the sectors. So, we have XLC with the 3 bar on the day. Ultimately, that just means price broke the low on Friday, and then expanded back to the top side. So, we have a 3 bar, potentially look for a continuation into the gap fill to the top side to potentially come sweep liquidity at 59.44, and then up to 60.42 at that equal level high that we have. If we don't get much continuation past this gap fill, then you can potentially watch the put trigger as well below 57.43, ultimately to target that gap fill at 56.13. Next up, we have XLY. XLY still in the same consolidation channel. We have yet to break out of it. So watching calls above 147.47, ultimately to target at 149.63 level, then from there up to 153.43. And if we can't break above this trend line, then likely we're going to test the put trigger below 145.37. From there, it's target 142.59, and then ultimately headed back down to this 135.30 level. Next up, we have XLP. So XLP, as you've noticed, we kind of called out this breakout back in the beginning of or mid of March. Still getting that expansion to this very day. So I like calls above 77.24, ultimately to target 77.82. Then from there we get this push through this fair value gap up to 79.26. If we don't ultimately get that displacement above these highs, then you can potentially watch the put trigger as well this week below 76.50. Ultimately, first price target 76.14, and then headed down from there to 74.97. And then we have XLE. So XLE did kind of exactly as we expected it would. Came down to this downside gap fill. Notice how buyers instantly step in the moment we fill the gap. And then we pretty much have like a similar kind of gap and go setup. So this week, honestly, really like it a lot in this area. So I will be watching a lot of oil tickers. So I like calls above 80.86, ultimately targeting 83.29, and then from there to 84.06. We have that gap fill to the top side. And then if we don't ultimately get that first price target, we could potentially reject through this trend line / this daily fair value gap. And if that was the case, you have a put trigger as well below 79.79, ultimately looking to target 77.89, and then from there to 75.81. And now I will pass it over to Rob to finish the rest of the sectors.
All right, guys, let's round out the last 5 sectors here. We're going to start it off with XLI. On the week, really, we have an inside bar, so it's going to be very easy to play our call trigger at 101.11. And then down here, we have our put trigger at 97.49. Really, we're going to be looking for the move up here pretty much instantaneously. Once we break trigger, first PT is 9 cents away for calls. Your second PT here at 101.70, really. And then after that, it's going to be, you got your third one here at 101.77, so another 7 cents away. And there's going to be this candle all the way up here. So we're looking definitely pretty bullish on the week and the 2 week and really the 3 week time frame, and we'll talk about those in a quick second. But you can see here we pretty much have a double hammer. This could be a doji, but it doesn't have quite thin enough of a body, so keep that in mind. But if we hop over here to the 2 week, you can see that we had a nice inside bar, came back through, triggered the 2 down, and retraced all the way back up. If we take a look at the 3 week, inside bar, triggered the 2 down, retraced all the way back up. So it's definitely very interesting to see here. There's a lot of buying power that stepped in this past week, and we got to see if that's going to continue in these sectors. So let's hop over here and take a look at XLB on the week. We have that 2 down here. XLB kind of has been dropping down, but you can see we pretty much have relative equal lows here. We triggered the 2 down, and like XLI, retraced a good bet back. So 81.04 is going to be our call trigger. We're really going to be looking for 81.27 followed by 82.01. For our puts to the downside, I personally, in my opinion, I'm really leaning bullish going into this week. The market may prove me wrong. We do have CPI coming out on Wednesday, so it could be a quick gap up kind of thing. We push up have our high early in the week and then we close on our low. So it's definitely something that's possible with that news catalyst coming out. So 78.15 would be our put trigger, and really we would be looking to fill this volume imbalance down here at 76.82. We take a look at the 2-week, you can see we got for the stratters, the bullish Randy Jackson set up here. So you got your 2 up, your 2 down hammer, and you're looking for that move up, and ultimately your PT is going to be 82.01. If you take a look at the 3-week, you got a 2-1-2, failed 2 up here, so we're looking to reverse here and possibly trigger back up. So 82.01 is definitely going to be a level to keep on watch, because you can see really once we got above 81.03, you can see sellers stepped in here. So it's going to be something interesting to watch in the market this week, is where do the sellers step in, because we definitely look bullish pretty much across the board outside of really materials, metals, and gold, in my personal opinion. If we take a look here at XLRE, our third sector here, we got an inside bar, so we've gone 3-1, 3-1, and we got a hammer here, a nice long wick, relative equal lows, so I'm leaning bullish on this one, but who knows, it might just pull another outside bar like it has before and just pretty much chop within a range. 37.83 is going to be that trigger, followed by 37.88 is going to be your first PT. Not that one. And then, gosh, wow, 38.96 is going to be your next PT after that for calls. For the downside here, 36.39 is going to be your trigger for puts. 36.34 is your first PT. Second one, that's going to be relatively equal. And of course, 35 rounded off even is going to be your second PT for XLRE. If we take a look at the 2-week, we can see we did a 2 up inside bar. Kind of, this is more or less of a doji in my opinion. So you're really going to be looking to see which side of the wick we fill first. If we take a look here at the 3-week, double inside bar. This is a rare pattern. So you can see that buyers have stepped in, filled this wick a little bit more and filled it with this body. You can see that sellers did step in here at 37.44. So really a push above, what is this level? 37.88 really is going to be the huge level. You get a push above that, you're probably going to be on a rocket ship to 38.96 relatively quickly. XLK here, taking a look at technology on the week. So we had all of major tech pretty much report for earnings, so we're pretty much past that. We got the 3-2 up with a nice, I almost want to call this a Momo hammer, because this wick is so long and we almost closed on the highs of the week. You can see that we're still struggling to get above this level here at 151.51. So for calls, our trigger's gonna be 151.75, followed by PT really here of 151.86. Fill out that volume imbalance as well over here. We're gonna be looking at 152.62, and ultimately you fill that and tech decides to go crazy, we can look at 161.55. For puts, I mean, you can try to play puts on this one. I would be looking more of like a quick scalp, because if you look at NQ is definitely very strong right now. So 146.93 is going to be your put trigger, and then 143.92 is going to be your immediate PT1, followed by this wick down here at 142.85. We take a look here at the 2-week and the 3-week as well. You got your Nirvana pattern with a nice outside bar hammer. That's incredible. If we take a look here at the 3-week, you got your 2-up hammer. You pretty much had a doji, so a lot of people at this were probably thinking spinning top. Okay, we're gonna reverse back over. Market said, okay, sure, we'll let you think that. Haha, caught you. And we closed at our highs on XLK for that 3-week. So if we take a look here at XLU as our last sector, you got the 1-3 Nirvana pattern. You triggered your 2 down and you've retraced back up. So you're kind of just basing here, which is interesting. Utilities does look a little bit bullish here. So 69.77 is really going to be your call trigger. 70.28 is going to be your first PT, followed by 71.89 is going to be your second PT. If you want to play puts on this, you could, but with this body, you're going to look, okay, if we're going to fill it to the upside, play calls. If you're going to If we start feeling it to the downside, start playing puts at that point, and you can front run it if you want. And front running, I mean just playing it before you get the actual enforced trigger at 67.55. And then you're really going to be looking at 66.85 as your first PT on XLU. And then your second PT is going to be here at 65.59. So overall, market does definitely look very bullish. A lot of sectors look bullish. So just keep that in mind. Remember, play both sides of this. CPI does come out on Wednesday at 8:30. Set your alarms. Be prepared. Like before Tuesday close, think about, do you want to swing this through one of the most volatile events of the whole entire month outside of FOMC? Now, if you want to take a look at my watch list for the week, let's switch it over to here. We're going to start it off with PanW. I absolutely love this stock. Like, this is one stock that I will forever play because I just know it like the back of my hand. And the huge thing I want to highlight here is we pretty much have bounced off of this 50% fair value gap. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. Bouncing off of the 50% retracement of this gap, retail is not buying it. Someone else is buying it. Wink, wink. So on the daily, we definitely look very bullish. We do have these imbalances up here to the upside that we can fill as well. Let's just quickly highlight them out. So you got one volume imbalance. Well, really, this is a liquidity void. Then you have this one here as well. And you got this one here as well. All the way up. So like this can absolutely run. This gives me meta vibes before earnings kind of thing. Like, they have earnings on the 28th, so it could be a run up in the earnings. You do see buyers stepping in as well. If we take a look at the weekly pattern, created that hammer, pretty much hammered right off of that fair value gap, 50%. Absolutely bullish in my personal opinion. So if we take a look here and we want to play our calls to the upside, really it's going to be 185.24. Ultimate PT for the week is going to be 194.74. You can target on the daily the fills of these gaps as well. And keep in mind with these gaps, if we get 50% of the way through it, you might want to look at trimming because sometimes we could reject that gap as well. Just like how we bounced here, we could reject it up here as well. So if we want to play puts, personally, I think you're going to be crazy playing puts on this if you really wanted to. 176.30 is going to be your trigger for your puts, and you're ultimately going to be looking for 165.36 on the weekly time frame. If we take a look here at the 2-week time frame, I absolutely love this pattern. Sorry, 2 up, 2 down. You got the voids to the upside. You got the balance on the 50% of the fair value gap. I don't need to say any more. People are just over here sleeping on this setup. It's gonna absolutely print, in my personal opinion. If you take a look here at the 3-week, same exact thing. We created a nice hammer here. We had that 2 up, 2 up, 2. Wait, we triggered the outside bar on the 3-week. Let me turn my numbers on here and help myself out. So really, when we look here at the 2-week pattern, so we're going to start a new 2-week candle on Monday. Ultimately, we're going to have a trigger here at 194.74, but we got these wicks to the upside. Personally, in my opinion, if we get that close above, really, what is this, 195? Let's hop down here to the daily. Yeah, you really get this close above 195, you're going to be immediately targeting 200. If not, if you get 200, you're immediately going to be targeting all-time highs on this baby because you got buy-side liquidity up here, and it's absolutely gorgeous, just my personal opinion. So pawn is one that my eyes are absolutely locked on. I am going to be stalking it for the whole entire week, especially going into earnings. Next one I'll be looking at is CRM on the week. Let's delete our drawings here. You got a double hammer. Like I said, the market is freaking bullish right now. You got your 2 up hammer. You barely trigger the 2 up Personally, I would call these dragonfly dojis because you got such a small body here on the weekly. You got your call trigger here at 199.05, your put trigger here at 190.76. Let's be entertaining here and talk about puts. 187.31 is going to be your first BT to the downside, followed by 182.65. But personally, I don't see why you're playing puts on this sucker. Like I don't. You got, as soon as you break 199.05, you can pretty much see we're gonna fill this volume imbalance on the week. PT is gonna be 221 on the dot. Good lord. Let's zoom in here and see if we can find some intermediate price targets. So you got a liquidity void right here that we gotta fill on CRM. Whoop. Okay. Just adjust this back so it's right. We got a liquidity void here at 205 and 210 that you can take a look at here. That's going to be the huge thing to look at, is how do we react to this liquidity pool? Do we come back down? Because if we break above this, we have another liquidity pool all the way up here. And y'all might be calling me crazy for thinking that we're going to be this bullish, but the way the market looks, I wouldn't be surprised. So if we take a look here at the 2 week as well, since we got that candle opening up, you got your 3-1 pattern. Favorite pattern of mine for the strat, 3-1-2, see you later, really. You got your PT here of 201.12. You got your trigger here as well at 199.05. 3 week, you got your 2 up. So we've really gone 1, 2 up, 2 up. So you got your 1, 2, 2 pattern. We're really targeting this liquidity void here. You can see buy side liquidity relative equal highs as well at 221. So that's something to keep in mind. When does CRM actually have their earnings? Their earnings look to be May 30th. Okay, so we got a couple of weeks. So it looks like a lot of stocks want to really run up into their earnings. So we can just easily play this run up. So it might be a buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of thing. So if we take a look here at Costco on the week, we got a nice dragonfly doji here. So easily take a look at this. 500.05 is going to be our call trigger. We want to fill this liquidity void here on the week and ultimately target the top of this candle at 513.13. If we wanted to play puts to the downside, sure, we can talk about this. 485.93, 481.66 for your PT1. For your PT2, you're going to be looking down here at 477.50. The way this looks, though, you got your 2 up, your 2 up, your 2 down, your Randy Jackson. You know what you got to do. You pretty much play this liquidity void, see how this liquidity void is on the day. And you can see once we pretty much get above, what is this? 505 is an intermediate price target. 504.83, you're targeting 513. So this could absolutely run. We do have a gap down here as well. So remember, mind your gap, hashtag play both sides of this. So on your 2 week, you got your 2 up, you got your failed 2 up that you pretty much almost went outside on and it got bought up. You got your 3 week, your 2 up, so you got a 1 failed 2 up kind of thing. So it's going to look like, are we going to roll over, or buyers going to continue to step in and push this thing up? On the higher time frames, it definitely does look a little bit bearish, but I'm definitely leaning calls going in just with how the market looks. Taking a look here at AMD. Oh my God, AMD. I had this on my watch list last week, and their earnings absolutely blew it out. And then some news came out, I think on Wednesday or something like that, and just turned the whole entire week around. We got a 2 down, 3 up, a 3 hammer. I mean, it's a 3 up in my personal opinion. This is insanely bullish on the week. Call trigger 91.64. Your put trigger, if you want to be absolutely crazy, we're not really going to talk about puts on this one because this is definitely leaning very bullish. 81.02 is going to be your put trigger. Ultimately, you're going to be looking for 92.16 for your calls, followed by 96.07. If we dive in here and take a look at the daily, you can see we broke the trend line up. The huge thing is, can we continue this up, or are we going to continue? Are we going to come back through and retest this trend line? You can see we came up, gap through the trend line, got a failed 2 up, 2 down, retested, fell through because of earnings. So are we going to come back through? If we do, it's going to be a nice move to the upside. 96.07 is going to be our ultimate PT. Taking a look at the 2 week, you got your 2 up, 1, 2 down hammers. So this is definitely looking like it's going to reverse going back up. Yeah, you got your 2, 1, 2 down. Yep, this is just straight reversals here. Reversals absolutely pay in this market. So really, AMD is the fourth one on my watch list. The last one here is Disney. Keep in mind, Disney does have earnings this week. I believe they report after hours on Wednesday. We gapped through this trend line, and very much like AMD, we got through the trend line, kind of triggered up, failed down, gapped down, retested, gapped up, and then fell back through. So on the week here, if we take a look at this, we got a 2 up. And this is the crazy thing, is I'm seeing hammers all over this freaking market. You got a 3 outside bar hammer, you got a 2 failed 2 up hammer here. 102.61 on the week is going to be your call trigger. You're ultimately going to be looking for, I'm going to say 103.73. You do have this liquidity void as, my bad, not liquidity. Well, I think it's a liquidity void. Liquidity void as well here that you can target ultimately on the week. 109.27. I wouldn't be surprised if we get there because we do have earnings. I don't know what the earnings implied move is. If we wanted to play puts on this, really 96.61 is going to be your put trigger, and then you're going to be looking for down here at 94.38. We hop on the daily and take a look at it. Yeah, we've got a couple of gaps here to the downside. We got one gap down here to the downside that we could fill. So just keep in mind, play this week day by day, especially with CPI. I'm just going to continue hammering it into your guys' heads. If we take a look here at the 2 week, we got our 2 up, failed 2 up, doji. We got an outside bar doji as well. If we take a look at the 3 week, we got a 2, 1, 2 up, really met our target. Wow, this is what you want to call relative equal highs here. We got 102.61 and 102.70. So really, break above 102.70 is going to be the thing for Disney overall. But that's the watch list for this week. Remember, guys, play it day by day. We got CPI on Wednesday. Please do not forget that.
Alrighty, so for this week in common stocks, honestly, top watch is Netflix. I like calls above 333.64. Ultimately, to break this trend line as well, we have clear price action up to 331.11, and then from there to 334.66. And then if we really want to keep going, we have price action as well up to 347.52. We would just like to see market structure make a higher low and get that continuation. We also have a put trigger. The put trigger is kind of holding at that trend line, so we know if we were to break the put trigger, we will likely see an aggressive movement to the downside. Overall, looking to take puts below 320.56 that ultimately target 315.84, then from there to 312.15. Next up is coin. Coin, we have this breaker, kicker pattern, I'm sorry. So got the gap up from earnings. We played this on Friday for over 200%. Really great trade. Honestly, I think we get continuation into this week. So I'm looking to take calls above 58.58. Kind of our first price target is fairly close at 59.50. But after that, we have another price target at 63.50. And then from there up to 65.90. We do also have a put trigger, but I would kind of be price target one and done on the put side. So I'd like to take puts below 56.44. First price target 53.75. We do have a gap fill, but the fact is this gap was created on earnings. So I wouldn't look to really go past 50% of the gap fill, which is about this 51.80 level. And then from there, we have AMD. AMD I like a lot. So as we can see, AMD is testing the top of this trend line. So honestly, want to see, okay, do we get that clear confirmation for the continuation going into this week? So I'm watching calls above 90.42 to target 92.16, then from there to 95. If we were to end up pushing back down, Then I'd look to take puts below 89.70, ultimately to target 88.30 first price target, and then from there 84.72.